Na 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 na. Hey dude. Nope, not as good. Yesterday is directed by Danny Boyle, and it tells the story of this global blackout which erases the Beatles from existence. Nobody on earth remembers the Beatles or any of their songs except for one person, Jack, a struggling singer-songwriter in England, so he decides to use the Beatles songs as his own, which propels him to the superstardom that he's always dreamed of. I was looking forward to this film for two reasons, the first being director Danny Boyle. The films of his that I've seen I've really liked. 127 Hours is one of my favourite films. I love Slumdog Millionaire and Steve Jobs, and the second reason being the premise. It's just a really different and unique kind of premise. When I first saw the trailer and when I first heard about the film, I was just like, yeah, that just sounds really interesting. The Beatles being erased from existence and somebody remembering them, using their songs as his own. I mean, if you were in his position, you'd absolutely do the exact same thing, so I was in at that point. And in that, the first half of this film I thought was really good, seeing that premise being set up, but also the setup for the characters as well, like Jack and Lily James's character who've known each other forever, Jack being the struggling singer-songwriter, then all of a sudden remembering the Beatles and trying to remember all the lyrics so he can use their songs as his own, and seeing his career just shoot to massive superstardom, and Ed Sheeran just kind of like going, yeah, you're the better songwriter, you're the greatest songwriter who ever lived, you go ahead, you are better than me. And the musical performances were really great, seeing the Beatles songs just being brought to life by Jack on stage. And the film's a good love letter to the Beatles, I will say that. If you love the Beatles, you're going to get a kick out of this film seeing the Beatles being kept alive in this fictional universe by this main character. So the first half of the film I really enjoyed, but the second half is where the film kind of became a disappointment for me, because Jack now has to make a decision about whether or not he wants to continue being the superstar that he's always dreamed of, or whether he wants to be with Lily James's character, who he's known forever and who's been his biggest supporter forever, and who he's kind of friend-zoned for his entire life, which is kind of stupid because it's Lily James. I've seen a lot of people joke about that when talking about Yesterday. It's like, why would you friend zone Lily James? I don't know, but he has to make that decision. And the second half becomes kind of a romantic comedy, and an unfortunately kind of routine one at that. The storytelling was just really simple and really been there, done that. And you know exactly where it's gonna go. It's really predictable, and the characters at that point are just kind of going through the motions, and you just wait for him to make the decision you know he's going to make. And I found that disappointing, and the second half in that aspect just kind of dragged for me because I knew where it was going and it was just really familiar storytelling territory. Hamish Patel, I apologise if I got his name wrong, and Lily James do have really good chemistry, and you really buy the fact that they've been friends forever because it just comes across in their banter and their camaraderie. But despite them having good chemistry, it just didn't really do anything for me in the second half because of that familiarity. And in that second half as well, the whole Beatles thing kind of takes a backseat to the rom-com aspects, and it kind of underexplores that premise of the Beatles being forgotten, and it becomes not really an afterthought. There's still a couple of things that they do with that premise, like he starts becoming guilty about using the songs and he doesn't know if he can live with the lie, but that's only a couple times. It's not like a big thing he's constantly dealing with all the time. And there is one element of that Beatles premise that they tease throughout the film that you're thinking, oh, this could lead to something really good. And although the scene it leads to is a really nice and unexpected scene, you still can't help but feel like they didn't utilise that premise till its fullest potential. Kate McKinnon's in this film. She plays Jack's manager, and I don't know what it is about Kate McKinnon, but every time I see her, it's almost like she's in a completely different film than everybody else. And it's the exact same thing in Yesterday, because every time she's on screen, she's just being really exaggerated and kind of annoying. And I understand she's supposed to be annoying because Jack finds her annoying, but I just didn't really connect to it in that way, where she's annoying, but that's what it's going for. She just irritated me when she was there being all in your face, kind of annoying, when everybody else is giving pretty chilled, pretty realistic-ish performances. Yesterday was a film that I was hoping would be much better. I was expecting like a top 10 of the year contender with this. And it's not a bad film, it's not a terrible film or anything like that. I would say there is enough good things in here for me to go positive with the film overall, just not as positive as I wanted to be. Lily James and Hamish Patel still have good chemistry, and Hamish Patel gives a pretty good feature film debut performance, plus he's a really good singer as well. The music performances were great, some foot tapping coolness. The first half is a really intriguing what if kind of fantasy, but again the second half just bogged it down with really familiar, been there, done that rom-com storytelling that just didn't really have enough juice to it for me to be fully won over by it. Overall, I'm gonna give Yesterday a 3 out of 5. So have you guys seen Yesterday? What did you think about it? And what is your favourite Beatles song of all time? Mine's probably Hey Jude, not Hey Dude. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down there. And if you want to see more of my stuff, click on one of these in a second, and I'll see you all next time.